value, not just solutions. And I'm calling to the stage Sergiu Ardelean from Artivive.
Mine is working as well. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining after lunch. I hope that we'll make it interesting enough for you. Today we also have Michaela, who will join me a bit later and talk a little bit about how she's creating art. But first of all, I would like to share a little bit of my projects that I did in the past, and it's very nice because I also have two colleagues from the last company that I was at. And we worked a lot with augmented reality, and we were one of the first agencies back in the day. And we were able to also win Volkswagen as a client. We also opened an office in Shanghai. And we did this amazing project, I think more than 6 years. And we developed a lot. And we had a lot of fun as well as our client to use these new technologies to promote the products that they had. Long story short, at some point we started looking at the numbers, the user numbers that we had with these apps, and realized that they weren't where we would like to have them. And I tried to understand where was the problem. And at the end, what we saw is that we're just creating a gimmick, another way to see the information, that maybe from the user perspective, it's a longer way to get to this information. So many people will find this configurator or maybe the information about the car in the catalog that they already have in front of them. At the same time, maybe they can go online and have the same experience, just not in augmented reality. And many people would choose that than rather download the app and have interaction with AR. Us at the gallery, at the agency as well as the client loved it. And I was a little bit questioning, from a creative perspective, what are we doing here? How can we, go next level with this technology? And at some point, I realized that we somehow have to use this technology that people don't realize that they're using it. And I have an example that I would like to share with you, Google Maps. So everybody used it to come here to the venue. Many used it to come with a car or maybe with a subway. You just wanted to come from A to B. You didn't really care which technologies are behind, that there is maybe an AI, they have live data from the traffic, as well as the internet. You just wanted to get from A to B. And I think this is a very good example whenever we're creating something also with Artivive and working together with the artists is, where is the value, where is the story that we're telling? And obviously in this example, and I had an interview for a podcast last week, and the interviewer told me, it's like, yeah, that's so cool, and you know that you can just point the phone and then it will show you in which direction to go through the camera. So she wasn't talking about augmented reality, she was just telling me, it's like, I'm never knowing where to go when I'm coming out of the subway, and this is a great tool to give me the directions. So with this information in the back of my head, I went to a museum. And it's great that we also have our colleagues from Belvedere today here. Hi. And please also take this opportunity to go and visit Belvedere, because I think everybody with a ticket gets almost free entry. So go and look at this amazing building with this amazing collection. And I cannot tell you when this picture was made, because obviously the museum and the institution didn't change a lot over the years. They're also celebrating 300 years, just that you know. And this is a hard part, and we also chatted just before the talk, that it's hard to somehow integrate technology in these rooms and somehow with the art that they already have there. It's hard to have a display, it's hard to have projection. But the stories that these artworks have are incredible. And if we're looking at one of Schiller's painting, an Austrian painter, is depicting Edith, his wife. And what we found out during these projects with the colleagues from Belvedere is that in the first version, this painting looked totally different. It looked more like this. And then we learned that the story of this painting was that Edith, Schiller's wife, really looked like this, and he just depicted her in the way she looked. But the director at the gallery at the time, 100 years ago, said, I'm sorry, but I cannot take it in my collection. She doesn't really fit the style that I'm searching for. So what he did was going back to his studio and overpainted it in the version that we have today. And now imagine how much you can learn about not only the painting, the house and the artist, but this very short story that you can tell in 30 seconds. But if you don't have an image to show how it really looked like, it doesn't stick. So what we did was using AR to tell the story, to highlight the differences that are in the painting, and also tell the stories in the back. And what happened, because we were creepingly looking at the people in the museum, how they're using our app to understand how we can make it better, there were many people that were going closer to the painting and saying, oh, that's true, look at the orange parts here in the squirt, you can still see the original beneath. And this is exactly what they're taking with them home. This is the story that will tell people that weren't in the museum. They will not talk about augmented reality and downloading the Artivive app. They will tell the story that Sheila had to overpaint the painting in order to be able to sell it, to have money. So if we're looking a little bit forward is today. And we have two different worlds. We have the traditional art world and we have the digital art world. And we all in this room, we are knowing a lot about the digital art world with NFTs and with the metaverse and with animations and with everything that is coming out with AI and new tools. And the problem is that they are somehow still divided. And what we're trying to do with augmented reality is bring these two worlds together. Because with augmented reality, the traditional works, artworks, traditional way of creating art can become interactive, but at the same time, digital artworks can have a representation in the real world. And with this idea in mind, we created Artivive 5 years ago, and it has a very easy way to create these artworks. We said we are targeting artists that are from both worlds, so they shouldn't care about the technology, it should just be drag and drop. So you put an image on the left side, you put an animation or a video on the right side. It can be also 3D or a model, or you can just put an audio or another image, and we connect these two by just clicking saving. And then it's already working with the app. You might think this is nothing new, but this enabled so many creatives around the world that we managed to grow.
Could you try again?
I'm sorry. That we managed to get. Okay. We managed to get more than 250,000 creatives from all over the world working and creating artworks. We have more than 700,000 artworks. We have 4 million app users around the world, and we're working with 400 institutions and brands. I want to invite shortly also Michaela to the stage, but before then I would just want to show you 2 ways of how artists are creating this new way of narrative, the storytelling. On the left we see an artwork that has a lot of elements, and we discovered, also talking with the artists, that they use animation to highlight some of the parts of this artwork. The moment that the animation comes in, or the parts start moving, our brain is just seeing that. Because this way, it's coming back from the days when we were running away from lions and so on. This way we can highlight these parts, and then it's much easier to recognize all the elements that are there and see the artwork as a whole. On the right side is something that is very hard to recognize, that the moment that the animation is coming, or the moment that you see what it really is, your brain gets rewired, and you really see what it is in fact. So you look at the original artwork with a totally different way. So these are just 2 ways of how artists and creatives are using the new medium to create a totally new narrative and create their own way of transporting the message and to tell the story that they want to tell. And Michaela, if you would like to join us, we are so proud and happy to have you today here, because we also have a small exhibition at the playground with your artworks that were in Albertina. This is a picture from another museum in Vienna, and I would like to show the audience a little bit about the artworks that we have here, and you can come and check it out. We're more than happy to show you them, and we'll talk a little bit about how you came to create with augmented reality and with Artivive. Michaela, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Please have a seat. So, I can remember when we met at Parallel a few years ago, and you were already working with Artivive. And I was so surprised to see it. You have to imagine that it was a room that had artworks from the floor to the ceiling, and I saw all the people interacting with the artworks. So I think the first question that I would like to understand is like, how did you decide as an artist to go, instead of the traditional way of creating artworks, into embedding digital art and creating your own way of narrative?
So in very short, that my artwork is analog normally, but so drawing and inking, hand drawings, etc. But from the beginning of my career on, I was also using digital art, so videos, which accompanied my exhibitions. So it was just a small next step to apply Artivive, augmented reality, because for me the big advantage of Artivive, augmented reality, is that you stick the video or the 3D object directly on the image. Yeah? So instead of making one large video, I make many short ones. I have directly on the image, and this is working very well, especially in occasions like we have been there in Parallel, where there are 1,000 artists, I don't know, 200 rooms, you compete with many other images. It was crowded all the time, my room, so it's in part, of course, of the augmented reality.
Amazing, and I think you also told me that it's a different way how people are interacting with the art, because then it's something that it's actively looking at, and they can start the story that you put behind, and also stop when they want. And you also sent me the two pictures that I had on the last slide, showcasing on how all the ages, right?
Yeah.
So from children to old people that are thrown by this interaction and experience with art.
Yeah, this is something very striking. I was convinced from the beginning on that children will love it, because it's like animation, it looks a little bit like comic books. You're telling something like a short story, but it worked with elderly people as well. So I have this concrete example of some of my gallerists. Two of them are over 70, one is 82 years old, and all of them became really fans of augmented reality, and they like to show it, yeah, so they like to playing around with this.
Wonderful. So that means that, because also when we started with Artivive, we thought, that it's rather the young audience that would be interested in this kind of interaction, but the moment that the technology is not in focus, but the story, you can also drive people that are maybe seeing themselves, that they're not so technology fine. Great, so can you maybe also tell us how, because you started working with augmented reality for some time now, and how did this transform the way of creating art? Is like, do you already have in mind, the animation that is coming when you're doing the traditional artwork, the print, or is how
Yes,
does these two worlds work together?
Yes, this is one important point. I have the animation in mind. I know it will be a lot of work. No, sometimes I do the animations alone, and sometimes in cooperation with my colleagues from Timișoara, Romania. We're multimedia artists. We did some projects for the Ars Electronica, for example. But the hard work is always mine, which is cutting out the backgrounds, filling them in. I do this digitally, so my real artwork is analog, but then I have to fill the holes out digitally so that I can really move the objects. Or I prepare, which is very interesting for me, 3D objects, and I can use, for example, painted materials, cover the 3D objects with my analog painted materials and use it in Artivive. So there are so many ideas you can realize with this app, so of course you have it in mind from the beginning on.
Amazing. And I also saw that you not only have the artworks that we have with us today, but you also have a book.
Yeah.
You published as well as a book, and I can imagine that the narrative and the way how you're integrating technology and AR in a book is a little bit different then you did it with the artworks, or how came the idea to create also the book, including the artworks that you already have?
The book was a kind of catalog, but a modern version of a catalog with own text and so on. And it was quite interesting because the publishing house I'm working with, they don't normally publish catalogs. Yeah, so I'm published in this comic part, and it looks like comic style, but I don't really tell stories with my images. I tell something, I have content, but I don't tell stories. So the augmented reality helps me to create a story around the picture.
Oh, wonderful. And I know that the first time that we chatted, knowing that we'll have this presentation, you told me that actually you came from the idea to add music, right? So, because what we saw here is more on the animation and the storytelling, but you also have the layer of music that you can add to a traditional artwork. How was that approach?
This is for me at least as important as the video, because I think that music makes or creates atmosphere. Yeah, you can totally influence maybe a little bit the emotion people have when they're watching your art or showing your own emotion. Yeah, I was playing a little bit with the iPad, with GarageBand when I did my own songs, but normally I work with professional musicians.
Because I think it's like why I love your artworks and the way how you're working so much is because it's bringing all this together, right? All the new dimensions. Because if you're thinking about augmented reality, obviously it's the technology part, but it's also the story that you have with animations. It's the music that also can give you the emotion.
Yes.
And you can also add time, right? Because the artwork that is on the wall or in the book is unchanged for years, but with animation you also have a third, fourth dimension to the artwork where you can also add time. Did you ever think on, adapting works that are already finished to add new parts to it, or how do you approach this?
I did it because there were some exhibitions quite a short time ago where they exposed older works of mine, and I wanted to have them in augmented reality, especially because there are artworks about space, philosophy and so on, so it was for me almost necessary to add music and videos.
That's amazing. And now there are so many things happening, right? Also with AI and also in the creative space, and we also talked about it. How do you see the future, at least for you? How do you see that the art will evolve? How do you see that you'll use new tools? Where do you think that will be if we will have this chat in 5 years?
Yeah.
What we will talk about?
I can't foresee this because the technology advances so quickly. I think it's called Moore's law, that it doubles, every 1.5 years. So I can't foresee this. What I think I will go on doing, and that's why I love Artivive so much, is to combine this digital way of making art and the analog one. So I need really the pencil, the normal pencil, as a starting point, drawings, to concentrate myself, try not to be distracted as one important point, and then, as I'm also in love making videos from a long time ago, I started with Flash in the 90s,
back in the
which was very modern at this time. So I really love to play with my own drawings and paintings and see what comes out of it. Yeah.
Wonderful. And what is actually the feedback? You already mentioned a little bit with the galleries, but what is the feedback when you have right now a show in Tenerife, right, in Spain?
Yeah.
What is the feedback when people are first interacting or coming to the second show? What do they give you back? What is the feedback that you most hear?
You have to look at their faces. It's so funny because they are so happy to see this, no? They have this mobile device in their hands and they start to smile, they start to laugh, they show it to each other, and it really gets crowded in front of the wall. So this is quite striking to me. And there's another thing, you mentioned it, but I want to focus on it. I have many friends who are craftsmen, they like traditional drawing, and some of them are not very fond of new technologies, no? but it does not matter. They take the mobile device and they are as happy as all the others. And even some of them asked me to make a small video for them. Yeah, so they like
artworks. Okay.
Yeah, of their own artworks, and they normally don't use new technologies.
Wonderful. Maybe we can put the slide back with the two pictures that you sent to me, where we had like the older couple and some kids exploring the artworks. So I think this is the way we also had somebody at the booth before who was like, I'm not downloading any apps. I was like, that's great, I can show you on my phone. And they were like, okay, you convinced me. So this is a way, and I think this is also a problem that we still have to solve. I don't have any answer for it. It's like, how can we, prepare people for the experience that we will have without, showing them? Because most of the people, they're still reluctant. It's like installing an app, scanning a QR code, giving access to, camera and so on. So there is a little bit of a fear that the moment that they overcome it and they see what's behind it, they're all sold. How did you find a way how you can, sell the artworks that or like the experience?
It's the same. Here maybe there's a little bit of an age difference, no? The younger ones, they do it quickly. They only see the QR code and they download it. Maybe the elder ones, a little bit reluctant. I solve it like you. I have my own iPad, for example, there, or my mobile device, and give it to them, no?
Yeah.
I don't know what's about them. Do you call it glasses? AR glasses,
yeah,
or the future possibility, the future
wearables,
device. I don't know how it will be with them.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe if somebody is in the room from Apple, we would like to have the glasses to try with Michaela to see how we can make some concepts.
Yes.
Or if you know somebody, you're open, we can have one and we're taking care of it. I think this will be also a new way on how you can build stories.
Yes.
And I think it's like also with the hardware, how it progresses, you'll find ways. Okay, so I think we're great in time. I don't know if we should take any questions from the public or if you'd like to add something. Are there any questions? We have like 2 minutes.
If not, you can visit us, no?
Yes, come and check out the art, and we can ask questions directly to Michaela on the pieces that you'll see there. Michaela, thank you so much, and thank you for being one of our ambassadors for so many years and helping us develop Artivive in the way that we did.
Thank you.
Looking forward to see more of your work. And thank you all for joining us today. I would like to end with one slide because we're preparing beginning of November. We'll have an augmented reality art summit, which will be mainly online, but we'll also have one day in our gallery office in the 15th district where we'll have a panel. And you are more than invited to join. So please use the QR code or just search on our website and learn a bit more about augmented reality art. We also have two of the speakers here. Sam from Harvard is also having a workshop, and Andreas from PwC is also joining one of our panels. So it will be very, very interesting, and we have more than, I think, 20 speakers. So yes, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be around here if there are any questions. And yeah, enjoy the EWE. Thank you.